It's so dark. Hold on. Now I gotta change the brightness. It's too dark. Everything is difficult. Everything is difficult when you film. Nothing is easy. Seriously, why isn't this easier?
3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph, and this is Board Game Highlight. Board Game Highlight is a weekly segment where Mike or I take a game off the shelf here behind us. We take it out, we pop it open. We talk a little bit about why we love it so much. And this week, I'm going to do one of my favorite games, and I think it might be my favorite deck builder, if I remember correctly, and that is a game called Baseball Highlights 2045. Baseball Highlights 2045 is a game set in it's in 2045, so it's set in the future, but it's a game about baseball. Baseball, America's pastime, my favorite sport, definitely Mike's favorite sport. He loves baseball, loves it, loves it, loves it. And this is a game about baseball, but it's baseball set in the future. So here's the thing about baseball in the future. It's not just people. There are cyborgs, people with like one fake arm or one robotic leg or something like that. And there's also just full-fledged robots. In this world, the theme is super cool because baseball was struggling. People weren't really watching anymore. Just having a hard time. So they're like, what can we do? Let's up the ante. Let's add in some robots. Let's add in some AI. And let's make these robots super good hitters. And that's what they did. And so they added these robots. But when they added the robots, they also started adding cyborgs. They started taking pitchers' arms off, adding a robotic arm. So now they could pitch at the speed of light, basically. And it got to the point where robots were then having a hard time keeping up with the cyborgs. But then came these heroes that were just like, you know what? No, I'm not going to get a cyborg arm. I'm not going to be a robot. I'm just going to be a natural. And naturals are just normal people, just normal dudes and dudettes, no cyborgs, no robotic stuff, just naturals. And these naturals became like heroes in this world. They became like these like cultural icons because they were kind of like going against the robots and stuff. And they became these like kind of like celebrities in the athletic world. And to the fans because they were naturals. You know, it's like the good old boy still going out there doing his thing. He can it's like any underdog tale. And that is such a weird, cool concept for a theme. It's a theme that I would honestly love to see made into a movie someday, but nonetheless, they made it into a game, and this game is absolutely outstanding. It is a deck builder for 2 players. It says 2 to 4. It's a 2-player game, and it's a game that really kind of simulates baseball well, but I will say before you turn it off, if you're not a baseball fan, this is a game I honestly believe you can enjoy if you don't enjoy baseball, but you will honestly like it a lot more if you do like baseball. But I think it's a great deck builder, got great mechanics. So let's get into it. Let's just get into this right now. Let's get it down to the table and let's see how it plays. Baseball. Yeah. That didn't need to happen. So each player's gonna get their own little baseball diamond, but presumably you're playing on the same. You're not like in 2 different parks. And one thing that's really cool about these boards is they're set up for right-handed people and left-handed people, which is super unnecessary, but super cool at the same time. So you can see this one here is set up for a right-hander because my deck of cards, my lineup, my dugout, everything's over here. But then this one is set up for a left-hander, which is kind of cool because Mike is left-handed and Mike likes when things cater to the fact that he's a left-handed monster, because anyone who's left-handed is a monster. Yeah, I said it, left-handers. Come at me in the comments, but also like and share this video while you're at it. Hit that subscribe button. So you have your lineup here. These are your cards that you'll use throughout the game. There are a bunch of different players and stuff like that that do a bunch of different stuff. So each turn you'll draw 6. And like I said, it's a deck builder. So then once you're done with that turn, done with those 6 cards, they'll then go to your dugout here. And then your dugout is essentially your discard pile. Once you're out of your lineup, you shuffle up your dugout. They'll become your lineup again. So one thing that's interesting about this game is the game is not one game. It's a bunch of mini games. The game takes place over really however many games you want to play. Each mini game is like 10 minutes long, 15 minutes long, and that's a whole game of baseball. And at the end of that, whoever wins that game then goes to game 1. And generally you do a best of tournament. So you'll do like a best of 3 or a best of 7, just like in normal baseball. So basically what me and Mike generally do is we'll do a little mini tournament and then the World Series. So we'll have a 5-game series and then a 7-game series. And whoever wins the 5-game series gets home field advantage for the 7th game series. Because yes, you someone is going to be home and someone is going to be a visitor, and that depends on who's going first. The visitors go first, just like they do in normal baseball, but the home player gets the last card play. Just like in baseball, the home player is batting for the last inning. And I know, I'm sorry for non-baseball people out there, I'm throwing out a lot of baseball knowledge. You just can't not with this game, because this game is so thematic. It really, really is. Because every choice that Mike Fitzgerald, who made this game, made makes sense in baseball. Like, yeah, the first person goes first, like the away team goes first, because that's how it happens in baseball. But then the home team gets the last chance to win the game, just like in normal baseball. So basically how each mini game is going to work is each player is going to draw 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then these are your 6 cards for this mini game. Then the other person will have their 6 cards. Now the gameplay in this is kind of interesting. It's a lot of like back and forth kind of stuff. Whenever you play a card, there's essentially 2 different like phases to each card for the most part. There's going to be a thing that happens right away if that card has something that happens right away, and then there's going to be something that you are threatening to do, and then the other person then has to counteract what you're threatening. So cards will sometimes have an offensive or defensive trait to them, and then almost always they will be threatening some kind of hit. The hits could be singles, doubles, triples, home runs with different kinds of runners. There are white runners, which are slow runners, blue runners, which are average runners, and then red runners, which are fast runners. So let's say Mike then plays this card. This card right here, as you can see down here, is threatening a double, and then down here shows what kind of runner is threatening that hit. So in this case, it's a slow runner is threatening a double. So then Mike would put this card right here at his in play. That's the card that's in play. So it has nothing else. He essentially is threatening a double. So he picks the appropriate pawn color. In this color, it's a slow. And boom, it's going to go down here to the home plate. And this is what he's threatening. This double has not happened yet. He's just threatening to make it happen. And if I don't counteract this runner, then it will happen. So if I played a card that did not do anything about getting this person out, he would then get a double. So let's say I don't do anything about it. In this case, I just play this card, which is essentially the exact same card. I am threatening a slow double as well. So there was nothing that I played here that dealt with this double. So then Mike would then get this double. He got a slow double. I didn't do anything about it. And in this case, I'm just threatening my own slow double. Boom. So now again, this hasn't happened yet. Now Mike on his turn has to deal with this threat. So there's that constant back and forth of you dealing with the other person's threat while doing your own. And it's a weird thing to describe and a weird thing to wrap your head around, but it works super, super cool. So let's go back. Let's go back and let's say Mike is still threatening this double, but I play a defensive card instead. Let's say I play this card. This card is a cyborg and it says walk. Change all hits to walks. And then all you see on the bottom here, it is not threatening any kind of hit. So this one is strictly defensive. Not every single card will have a hit on it. But I really, really, really don't want Mike to get this double. So I play this card, which changes all his hits to walks. So instead of giving a double, he essentially just gets a single. And changing that hit to walk can work with anything. Say Mike was threatening a home run. You can threaten home runs. Sometimes you can threaten multiple home runs. And then I go, boom, change all hits to walks. And that home run now becomes like a single. He's still on base, so it's not the end of the world, but you're like, man, I really wanted a home run. That would have been much nicer. So lastly here in this scenario, let's say one more time Mike is threatening a double. I could play something like this. So here it says glove, cancel 1 hit, and then I am threatening my own average single. An average is a faster runner than a slow runner, which makes sense because we all understand how slow and average things work. So in this case, it says cancel 1 hit. So this hit is gone. Mike essentially popped one up and I went and caught it. So this person is out and that hit doesn't exist anymore. And now I am threatening an average single. So now Mike then has to deal with this threat. If he doesn't, this person will go here. And it's this back and forth. Like I said, it's constant back and forth. And there are all sorts of different abilities. I'm not going to get into them all. There are probably 20, 30 different abilities in the games. I mean, just all different stuff. This one right here is a knuckleball, which means reduce all the hits by 1 base. So if it's a triple, it becomes a double. If it's a double, it becomes a single. If it's a single, it becomes an out. There are all different kinds of defensive plays and ways that you can deal with the threats the other player is giving you. But sometimes you don't want to deal with the threats, or sometimes you just draw cards with no defensive plays on them. That's okay too. In that situation, you're like, look, we're just giving up on defense. I'm just going to try to outscore my person. Because whenever someone does come around, you are going to get a run. At the end of each mini game, the mini game is once each person plays all 6 of the cards that they drew, then that is going to be the end of that mini game. Whoever has the most runs wins. And so I'm just going to go into a couple of the different offensive abilities, which are super cool. Again, I'm not going to go into them all. There's too many to explain. But they're pretty self-explanatory, and the gameplay is so cool and so awesome. The way everything works with itself and stuff, it's just awesome. So this one right here says, clutch single if base runner on second and or third, and then it threatens a double. So with these kind of gold plated ones, instead of these like bronze plated ones, bronze plated are defensive plays. These gold-plated ones are offensive plays. So this says clutch single. So these things always happen before the threatened play. They happen right away. So in this situation, if I had a runner on second and or third, I would automatically get a single that Mike couldn't do anything about. It's just a clutch single, boop, a little blooper right over shortstop, great. So a clutch single. So boom, and then these would then go like that and then go home, and I would score 2 points. Now, you may notice that I went boom, boom with the average runner. And the reason for that is the difference between average runners and slow runners is if an average runner is at second base and then you get a single, that average runner will come home. Because that's generally how it works. If someone is on second base and someone hits a decent single, they can usually make it home if they're a decently good runner. And again, if you don't understand baseball, that may not make any sense to you. But if you do understand baseball, you realize how cool and thematic that is. That is awesome. And I guess it's a good time to mention what fast runners do. Fast runners, whenever they get a hit, always go 1 extra base. So if a fast runner does a single, they do a double. Pretty easy. They always just go 1 extra base. So that's what clutch does. Clutch says if there's a runner on second or third, when you play this card, little clutch single happens and boom, you get to do that. And then you threaten whatever is down here on the bottom. This one right here says quick eye. Quick eye always happens if you play this card right after your opponent plays a certain type of player. So this one is quick eye if versus a cyborg. So there are 3 types of players in the game. There are naturals, which is what I said, the people with no abilities at all, no robotic arms. There's cyborgs, which have some kind of robotic element to them, and then just full-fledged robots. So this one right here says quick eye double if versus a cyborg. So what that means is that if I play this card right now, and then Mike had just played a cyborg right before I played this card, this guy would get a little quick eye double. Like, boom, little hit, little double, and this is a fast double. So boom, boom, boom. It would go like that. And so in this case, it's just if it's versus a certain card, you'll get that little offensive ability. Now, if Mike had just played a natural and then I played this card, nothing would happen. And then one more that I'll explain is right here is lead off. If this is your first card played in that little mini game, it gets a double. And then it threatens a single. Easy. If it's the first card you play, cool, you get a double. But there are a bunch of different abilities, and there are about 1 billion little mini expansions where it's essentially a new deck of like 30 cards that have a new kind of ability, that have a new kind of feel to them. And it's just so cool the way the back and forth plays. We're like, I'm gonna play a card, I'm gonna take care of this, but I'm gonna threaten this. And okay, then I'm gonna play this card and I'm gonna ignore that, but I'm gonna hit a freaking bomb. Okay, then I have to go there and deal with that. And this back and forth is super interesting because you never know what the other person's gonna play. You can plan out as much as you want. You can have a great plan. Okay, I'm gonna play this card, then this card, then this card, then this card, and it's gonna be great. But Mike may counteract everything I do, and it may become a stalemate where the game ends at 0-0 or 0-1, or it may be a banger where neither of us is doing with defense, and we're just going 10-12, and Mike wins with a 12-point game. It totally depends on what cards you get and how you play them and what order you play them. There's so many mind games that go on with this game where you're just trying to figure out the other person, and you just can't because you don't know what they have, and you're just trying to do that balance of playing what you need to play, get the runs you need to do, but then dealing with what the other person is doing. And it creates this amazing, incredible balance that is super intriguing and super interesting, even if you don't care about baseball at all. But if you do like baseball, it makes the game so amazing. It's just such a cool game. I love it. So that's the general feel of a mini game. You're going back and forth. You play the 6 cards that you drew, and then whoever wins, wins. Now, what if there's a tie? If there's a tie, it goes to extra innings. If there's extra innings, each person draws 3 cards off the top of their deck. You choose one, and you play it, and you both flip simultaneously. And then after that flip, if someone scores a run and all of a sudden they're in the lead, then they win. So once someone wins the game, let's just say I won the game, because this is my board game highlight, not Mike's. You're going to take the 6 cards you used during that card, or maybe more if you have extra innings. Those cards count towards this. And you're going to put them out, and then you're going to look at these green circles up here that have numbers inside them. This is recruitment power, because after each mini game, you get to get a card or 2 or sometimes 3 from the free agent deck. This is the free agent deck. It is very large. Like I said, there's many expansions for this game, and we have them all because we love this game. So there's going to be 6 free agents out for every mini game. So these are essentially way better cards. So each free agent here will have a number in a red diamond up there, and that is what you use your recruitment cost. That is how much they cost, and you use your recruitment cost to then purchase them, and then they will go on top of your deck. So like I said, these are just better versions of the cards you already have, but a lot of times they're way better. So you see like Wiffle here, who's just a cute little robot. Look how cute he is. So Wiffle here is only worth 4. He has no recruitment value of his own. He doesn't do any defensive stuff, but look, he hits 3 singles because cards can threaten multiple hits. I'm not entirely sure how, but they can, okay? Go ask Mike Fitzgerald. But nonetheless, he threatens 3 hits. So whenever you play Wiffle, you will then threaten 3 singles, which means I would then have to try and deal with 3 hits. That's hard to do. At most, you can usually stop 1 or 2. Stopping all 3 is hard, but they are only singles because that's not the best card in the game. Let's go with someone a lot better. So we have Palmer Page here, who is worth a whole whopping 9, which is pretty darn good. So he's a cyborg. He is a superstar. So he has walk, change all hits to walk. So he would change all the hits to walks, and then he threatens a single and a home run. So he does all of those things. That is crazy. That is like just all defense and then just like doosh all day. It is awesome. So that's another player that is super cool. But let's just say I get Nolan Gooden right here. He's going to go to the top of my deck, which is great because that means he's going to come out in my next game. But here is where this game really takes off, and I think this is such a smart decision because without this game would be good, but it probably wouldn't be great. Because what's the biggest problem with deck builders out there? Deck bloat. That's the biggest problem. What deck bloat is as you go throughout the game and you're getting more and more cards, your deck starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And all the cards you started out with, which in any deck builder tend to be like pretty basic cards that you don't really want in the second half of the game, they essentially start clogging up your deck. And it's a big pain. And it's just a problem of deck builders. Some deck builders deal with that in various different ways. And the way this one deals with it is really brilliant and super thematic because every time you get a free agent, whether you're getting 1 or 2, for every free agent you get, you have to send someone from that last game down to the minor leagues, which means they are not going to be playing anymore. They're kicked out of the game. So essentially you take one of these, let's just take this one, and you're going to throw it out of the game. And what the beautiful part is that means your deck stays the exact same size. It doesn't change. It never gets bigger. It never gets smaller. If I had recruited 2 people, I would have had to send 2 people down to the minors. So no matter what, your deck is going to stay the same size. And those big banger cards, the cards that are awesome, are going to start coming up more and more and more often. And then we would draw 6 more cards and we would start the next game and play another mini game. Now the cool thing is I now have those 2 dope cards I just bought. And so that's also where so much of the mind game comes in this game, because you're like, you can see what they bought and you can see that it's going on top of the deck. So you know, you're like, okay, that banger card, that card's coming out at some point in this next game. I know that. But when? Is it gonna come out right away? Is he gonna do it like later? What if it's a great defensive card? Do I want to bait him with another card and make him use his big banger card on that one and then play my big banger card? And it's just, the mind game starts going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper down into this game, and it's just truly, it's truly astonishing. And that's basically the game. There are a bunch of other little things, and there's a bunch of other little abilities that I could explain, but I'm not going to get into all that. So one thing that I also really love about the game, this has nothing to do much with the game, it just adds more flavor, again, especially if you're a baseball fan. Barry Sosa. Not Sammy Sosa, Barry Sosa, because I can't use Sammy Sosa's name. There are so many takes on real baseball players. We got like Barry Sosa. We got Troy Jeter. We got Daisuke Darvish. You got Prince Posey. You got Frederick. So this is Tim Lincecum. This also looks like Tim Lincecum. He's a pitcher for the Giants, but his nickname was the Freak. So this is the Freak. You got Max Verlander, who's this like crazy, like steampunk looking cyborg dude. And then one cool thing is there's just women in it. Cool. That's just a cool little thing to throw in there. There's also women in this league. It's awesome. And this is the one that matters the most. Nolan Seeger, who cares about all that? What matters is that if you are like Mike and I and you love the movie A League of Their Own, this is clearly Dottie Hinson. I love the movie A League of Their Own. It is probably my top 5 favorite movies of all time. Our dad particularly loved that movie and would make us watch it all the time. I love A League of Their Own. It's just amazing. And then this was in one of the more recent expansions, was them throwing in Dottie and Dottie Hinson, and the Rockford Peaches. And it was just like, it took this game that I already loved and took it to such another level. Just because of what that movie means to me and how much I love that movie, just like having Dottie Hinson in there, it was just.
There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Fitzgerald, you're a freaking wizard. It's just so fun and so thematic, and all of these cards are different. They all have not all have different abilities, but they have a different makeup of stuff, all different art on all the free agents. It's just so lovely. It's such a cool game. It's such a cool take on a deck builder game. And it's one of those things, like I've said multiple times, if you don't like baseball, I still think the mechanics of this game and the back and forth gameplay and trying to get into your opponent's head and trying to figure out what they're going to do is super interesting. I honestly think if you don't like baseball, you could still really like this game. But if you like baseball, even at all, you have got to play this game. It is a baseball lover's dream in a board game. I mean, it is just so cool. It's so thematic, just in terms of baseball. But then on top of that, there's this really cool future world where there's female cyborg pitchers and just random robots who have flame legs, who are flying through the air just catching balls. And then there's these naturals, these heroes like Dottie Hinson, who just have nothing, have no cyborg stuff, are just grit and good at baseball, and they're just knocking stuff out of the park, and they're heroes. And it's just, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Oh my gosh. It's I forget how much I love this game until I start talking about it. It's I get into it and I start getting all emotional about how much I like this game. That's how you know you really like a game, is when talking about it makes you just get so passionate. You start freaking out a little bit, I'm in that moment right now, if you can't figure it out. But nonetheless, I'll stop jawing about it. It's just so good. It's so good. Please try it. It's wonderful. Mike Fitzgerald and Eagle Griffin knocked it out of the park. This is one of those games that I hope they keep supporting, because I just want them to come out with more and more little expansions, because everyone added something cool to the game. And then now you can just add all the cards into the free agent deck, and then now you have this big mix of stuff that you never know what's going to come up. But even if you just get the base game with none of the expansions, it's still outstanding, because you still get a ton of free agents, and then it's just a cool game. But I'm going to stop. This video's already been long enough, and it's mostly just been me being oh, God, love it, God. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hearing me go on and on about how much I like this game. It's just lovely, and you're lovely. So please make sure to like and share this video. We're trying to grow our community always, and the best way you can do that is by sharing our videos and then subscribing to our channel as well. Thank you so much for being here. We love you all. And until next time, you have been checking out Baseball Highlights 2045 with me, Nick Murphy, here on Board Game Highlight. Have a good one.
Hello. I want to let you know that we have a Patreon and that you should check it out. There will be a button somewhere around here probably that you can click to help out the brothers Murph. Click the Patreon. Do it.
Also got to let you know that we're sponsored by Restoration Games and by Game Toppers. Go to GameToppersLLC.com to upgrade your gaming experience. Look at that label. It's beautiful. Do it. Do it right now. I hate you. I'm sorry. I love you.